Morning, students. Hello. Hello. Can you all hear me?
Ma'am, there is a lot of disturbance from your side.
Okay, let me just. Is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope every one of you is doing good. So let's just start with the class. In the last classes, we were talking about different types of ecosystems. So let's just go to the scroll through the slides and then we'll start with the today's topic. So आज की क्लास में we will cover all the types of ecosystems जो हम last time पढ़ रहे थे. So we were studying about the forest ecosystem. Okay. After that the classes were dropped. So अभी आज we will cover all the ecosystems like your forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem, marine ecosystem and grassland ecosystem. Apart from that, we will revise and from tomorrow's class, we will study biochemical cycles which are related to the environment. Okay. Your carbon cycle, phosphorus cycle, nitrogen cycle, water cycle. So tomorrow we'll study those topics, but for today we'll study about different types of ecosystems that we have been observing all throughout our lives, and let's just go through them. So when we talk about ecosystem, the first thing that we noted was it deals with two types of components. First is your living component and second is your non-living component. So when we talk about non-living component, then we have all the chemical and physical parameters which are related to your environment or which can directly or indirectly affect your environment, okay, or your sustenance on this earth. So this is what we learned. So introduction, I don't have to repeat this. Environment and its component, biotic and abiotic components, like I said, ये सारे components, if we deal with them one by one, then we realize that they are interlinked and have a very drastic effect on our lives. Okay, so this is all we read. इसमें अगर क्लास स्लाइड्स नहीं देखी हैं तो अभी देख लो. So we have learned about different types of ecosystems. So in the previous classes we were talking about your terrestrial ecosystem or grassland ecosystem, whereas today we talk about marine, freshwater, estuarine, and these two. Okay. So we talked about food chains. So there were three types of food chains, which is a grazing food chain, saprophytic or detritus food chain, and parasitic food chain. So when we talked about parasitic food chain, we talked about the parasites or one of the vine or बेल जैसे बोलते हैं हिंदी में, which is a Cuscuta doder. ये commonly आपने अपने आसपास parks वगैरह में देखा होगा. But this particular vine has got a parasitic nature. Okay, so this can be taken as an example, or the parasites that live inside your body, nematodes, etc. They are also examples of your parasitic food chain. Okay, then we have food web. So food chains basically nature में exist नहीं करती हैं, because food chain means a simple linear chain. ठीक है. So जो exist करता है वो है आपका food web. Why? Because the food chains are interlinked and it's not necessary, or it's not it's not specific कि एक particular species को एक ही particular species consume करेगी. ठीक है. So this is the reason that multiple food chains they combine and we have a food web. Okay. So this was the importance of food web. So nature में chains exist नहीं करती, webs exist करते हैं. Then we have structure, function. Stratification was one of the terms. So stratification means vertical alignment, like I already told you. बेसिकली इकोसिस्टम का जब आप टॉपिक पढ़ेंगे, ये वाली यूनिट पढ़ेंगे, तो इसमें कुछ टर्म्स हैं विच इज नेसेसरी. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट जो फूड चेन है, वेब है, ये हम पहले से जानते हैं, बट सम टर्म्स वी वर नॉट क्लियर. So stratification is one of the terms. Trophic levels is one of the terms. पिरामिड्स की इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए। रेमंड लिंडमैन लॉ क्या कहता है? When we talk about Raymonde-Lindman law, it says, let's just go to the pyramids. Okay. When we talked about pyramid of energy, then we had Raymonde-Lindman law. ठीक है, this particular scientist said कि अगर हम ट्रॉफिक लेवल्स की बात करें और अगर ये करें कि जो सन इज द ओनली सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी और प्रोड्यूसर्स जो है वो 100% एनर्जी का सोर्स है, लाइक ठीक है, अगर प्रोड्यूसर्स आर गिवन 100% एनर्जी, देन अब जितने भी ऊपर के ट्रॉफिक लेवल्स हैं, चाहे जैसे कि प्राइमरी सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स, वट एवर देर इज अबाउट योर प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स, प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स, इट हैज ओनली 10% of that energy from the previous level. ठीक है, ये जो रेमंड लिंडमैन लॉ था इसका यही मीनिंग है। ठीक है, so just go through that and you will get the idea about what I'm talking. Then we had primary and secondary successions. So we know successions. The important part was the stages. So nudation, invasion, migration, or excess aggregation, competition, reaction, and stabilization. Then we came to a climax community. ठीक है, तो जब हम क्लाइमैक्स कम्युनिटी की बात कर रहे थे, जैसे कि अगर प्राइमरी सक्सेशन की बात करें तो प्राइमरी सक्सेशन में वी स्टार्टेड विद अ बेयर रॉक। ठीक है, उसके बाद कहीं से स्पोर्स, कहीं से सीड्स वहाँ पे आए या बेसिक लाइकन मॉसेस जो एल्गी होती है वो ग्रो करी और धीरे धीरे वहाँ पे सॉइल आई। देखो सॉइल जो फर्स्ट सेकंड और थर्ड इमेज है इसमें यू कैन सी दैट देयर इज bare rock, then we have in the second image we have some lichens or mosses। ठीक है, जो हल्की हल्की ग्रीन लेयर अगर आप कहीं पे किसी रॉकी एरिया में जाएंगे वहां पे ऑब्जर्व करेंगे कि those rocks have some green layers, okay, some algal deposition। So the erosion of rock along with the dead and decaying matter of algae and mosses, it leads to development of soil। ठीक है, so जैसे जैसे ये प्रोसेस इंक्रीज होती है we reach a climax community। So when I talked about climax community, the term climax community means that this particular community of any forest, जैसे कि let's just say कोई एक forest हम ले लेते हैं, उसमें we are saying कि कोई climax community है। So what does that climax community mean? Climax community means final stage of species which have sustained or have been able to stabilize themselves after a lot of competition and change or adaptation in their properties or in their living style। ठीक है, that is called as a climax community। ठीक है, this is what your climax community was all about। जो स्पीशीज या कम्युनिटी नेचर से अडाप्ट हो गई है और वहाँ पे स्टेबलाइज हो गई है, एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स उसको बहुत लीस्ट लेवल पे इफेक्ट करते हैं, this that type of community is called a climax community। Now let's just move forward to types of ecosystem। When we talk about types of ecosystem, we had forest ecosystem, freshwater, marine, desert, and grassland। So today we'll cover all these five and we'll go through the forest ecosystem। So forest ecosystem तीन types के थे, temperate and your tropical and taiga। So when we talk about temperate, तो जो normally available ecosystems हैं या forest है जहाँ पे कि जो trees हैं वो अपना color change करते हैं, and this particular temperate forest ecosystem sees all the weathers। ठीक है, rainy season भी it will observe it, summer season, winter season, autumn, during autumn it will change color, the leaves will change colors। So that type of a forest is called a temperate forest, which is affected by the environment or weather। Okay. Then the other one is tropical, and tropical we all know the example, it's your Amazon। When we talk about taiga forest system, then it is Canada and America। So this is what we read about। Then we read about the types of flora and fauna available in these forests. So you can take up the examples। Okay, So humans as a part of ecosystem, humans are basically consumers. We get food and material from the forest. Because of this, we are a part of the forest ecosystem. Consumption basically alters forest ecosystem, and humans are human consumption and alteration to the environment. ठीक है, चाहे वो pollution हो, चाहे वो rainfall में जो changes है, like climate changes है. What is California observing? California uh, as an area or as a geographical area has been observing a lot of drought from the past many years. Okay, you can go through the internet and learn about it. So basically, human consumption and effect of human activities on climate has led to decrease in the forest communities. Okay, so humans are directly or indirectly affecting your forest community. Okay, let's go to the aquatic ecosystem. Today we study about aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem basically, aqua means water, so we understand that it's related to water. So fresh water ecosystem में दो types के हैं, lentic and lotic. So lentic means जो water stabilized है या standing है, whereas lotic means river and streams. Okay, so ponds and lakes are basically ponds, lakes, rivers or streams. These are basically the most important and critical, sources of water for the survival of human beings. No matter what you say, although oceans have got a 71% of water on the earth, but it's the ponds, lakes, rivers, and streams which help us survive on this planet. Okay, so this is this particular ecosystem, and maintaining or sustaining this ecosystem is of great importance. The next one is your marine ecosystem. So when we talk about marine ecosystem, it's all about saltwater ecosystem. Fine. The next one is your transition or brackish water ecosystem. So Kerala backwaters, Sundarbans, estuaries, wetlands, and swamps. We'll read about them now. We have covered these particular slides. We were here on the sketches desk. So in the last class, I was talking about how one can know the turbidity or transparency of water. So when we talk about fresh water, the importance of transparency is in two terms. First is if the water is transparent or it has got greater transparency, that means there is a reduced amount of effluents or pollutants in it. ठीक है, दो तरीके हैं जिसमें कि या दो बातें हैं जिनसे कि transparency important है. So the first thing is that a transparent water or clean water shows that there is less pollution into it. Pollution can be industrial, domestic or just land erosion. ठीक है, आसपास की जो लैंड है, जो सॉइल है, उससे टर्बिडिटी आ जाती है वाटर में. सो पोल्यूशन कैन बी ऑफ एनी टाइप. ठीक है. सेकेंड थिंग इज it the transparency है. Transparency affects the amount of light that is passing through the water and reaching the bed surface of any water body. So if the amount of light, students please listen to this, if the amount of light reaching this the depths of water is more, अगर sunlight ज़्यादा जाएगी तो जो biotic activities हैं, they are in balance. Biotic activities means plants inside the water are able to survive or do photosynthesis process. But अगर किसी water body में light below the surface reach ही नहीं कर रही है for some reason, pollution हो गया है, turbidity हो गई है, तो ऐसे cases में जो biotic activity है वो producers या plants से हट जाती है या वो properly perform नहीं कर पाते. So one such example is in a river system, heavily shaded trees rely on degraded organic matter and leaves from surrounding catchment areas to fuel the ecosystem. Largely किसी भी ecosystem में producers या plants जो हैं वो एक critical role play करते हैं base में. ठीक है, because they are at the base of the pyramid. वहीं से different trophic levels को energy जाती है या मिलती है. But whenever the in aquatic ecosystem, whenever the water has got reduced transparency, in such cases, the river or the stream has to depend upon the organic dead and decaying matter और leaves, जिससे कि प्लांट जो एनिमल्स हैं या जहाँ जो फ्लोरा है वहाँ फौना है वो सरवाइव कर सके. तो बेसिकली ट्रांसपेरेंसी ऑफ वाटर प्लेज अ क्रिटिकल रोल. अगर ट्रांसपेरेंट होगा वाटर तो दैट मीन्स कि कोई पोल्यूशन नहीं है, वाटर इज पोर्टेबल. पोर्टेबल लाइक आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू, पोर्टेबल मीन्स ड्रिंकेबल. ठीक है. और दूसरा ये कि जो इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर है वो ये कि जो लाइट है वो प्रॉपर इकोलॉजिकल बैलेंस मेंटेन करती है. सो दिस वाज अबाउट योर स्केचीज डिस्क एंड इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ ट्रांसपेरेंसी इन द पर्टिकुलर इकोसिस्टम. सो इस टाइप के डिस्क ड्रॉप करके दे ऑब्जर्व कि किस लेवल पे जाके ये जो वाइट शेड्स हैं ये इनविजिबल हो जाते हैं या ब्लैक दिखने लगते हैं. सो दैट डेप्थ इज द ट्रांसपेरेंसी डेप्थ. So factors affecting freshwater ecosystem current. So current plays a role in estimating the distribution of salts, vital gases, and small organisms. It's an important limiting factor for low-tech systems, especially for streams. Oxygen and carbon dioxide concentration are often limiting in freshwater environment. Last point important है. How is this important? So basically current का क्या मतलब है? Current basically means flow of water here. So if the flow of water is proper, specifically in low-tech or rivers or stream ecosystem, it helps in proper distribution of salts and vital gases. So जैसे जैसे water flow करता है उसकी vicinity में जो gases हैं वो उसमें absorb होती रहती हैं. And this particular absorption of gases from the surface inside the water and maintaining a balance helps in sustaining the ecological balance of species. अब यहाँ पे दो terms हैं. First term is dissolved oxygen content and the second term is biological oxygen demand. ठीक है. तो dissolved oxygen content क्या है? किसी भी सिस्टम में, किसी भी एक्वेटिक सिस्टम में, फ्रेश वाटर एक्वेटिक सिस्टम में अगर आपको ये चेक करना है कि वहाँ का पानी पीने लायक है या नहीं है या फिर वो पॉल्यूटेड है ऑर्गेनिक मैटर से. आई रिपीट, if you want to check whether the water is polluted by organic matter, in such cases there are two tests which are done. First is to measure oxygen content and second is to measure biological oxygen demand. अब इसका मतलब क्या है? बायोलॉजिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड को मेजर करने का जो बेसिक फंडामेंटल रीजन है वो ये कि इट टेल्स यू कि कितना ऑर्गेनिक मैटर है और कितनी माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए टू ब्रेक द ऑर्गेनिक मैटर इनटू अ स्टेबल और लोअर simple compounds. So biological oxygen demand tells you amount of oxygen consumed by microorganisms to convert organic matter present in water into simpler compounds. अब ये ऑर्गेनिक मैटर कहाँ से आता है? ऑर्गेनिक मैटर कैन बी ईदर फ्रॉम ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज और इट कैन बी फ्रॉम इंडस्ट्रियल सोर्सेज. सो दिस डायरेक्टली इंडिकेट्स यू पोल्यूशन. ठीक है. अगर किसी वाटर बॉडी में बायोलॉजिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड ज्यादा है, दैट मीन्स इट्स हाईली पोल्यूटेड एंड इज नॉट पोर्टेबल और द वाटर कैन नॉट बी कंज्यूम्ड. सो ये इम्पोर्टेंस है किसी भी फ्रेश वाटर इकोसिस्टम में बायोलॉजिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड पैरामीटर. ठीक है. दिस इज अ साइंटिफिक पैरामीटर एंड इट टेल्स यू कि कितना वाटर पोल्यूटेड है या कितना वहाँ पे ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, डेड एंड डिकेइंग मैटर प्रेजेंट है which is harmful for us to be used in regular purposes. Okay, this is what your biological oxygen demands mean. So current basically, if the water gets stagnant, then the amount of oxygen or the gas distribution also decreases, distribution of salt decreases, and it leads to a imbalance in a water body. So summary ये है कि current helps in distribution of salts and vital gases, and if the biological oxygen demand is more for any particular stream or river, then it means the water is highly polluted and cannot be used for domestic purposes. Okay, this is what this one particular slide means. Now let's go to the next slide. So low-tech water ecosystems, we have already read about it. So basically rivers or streams है and they help in distribution of water. यहाँ पे एक term है watershed. So when you talk about watershed or watershed area, what does that mean? So watershed area is basically the area which receives water from any river or stream. Okay. So it doesn't like let's take an example of Ganga. Okay, Ganga starts from Gangotri and it reaches your Bay of Bengal. So Ganga does not follow a simple straight path. Okay, it's not one confined river. It is having tributaries or slight branches which spread out during its course of flow. Okay, so that particular area of land which is getting drained by any stream or river is called the watershed area or watershed area of that particular river. Okay, so ये term यहाँ पे important है. So we have learned about two terms: biological oxygen demand and watershed area. Okay, this is for your low-tech systems, which is your river and streams. When we talk about lentic, lentic means land, lakes, wetlands, or small reservoirs of water. So basically, these are the, like I already told you, these are the major source of water. But the one drawback is that their water sources affected by seasonal rainfall. So this is one of the major problems. So you cannot depend only on your lakes, lands, or lake or wetlands or ponds because they are highly affected by your seasonal rainfalls. So if the rainfall is less, the ponds or the lakes will dry up and there will be scarcity of water. So one such example of artificial wetland is your rice culture. Okay. So swamps or floodplains are another kinds of naturally occurring wetlands. So you'll see the images and get an idea what I'm talking about. Swamps or floodplains are found in low-lying areas where there is depression in soil topology. So where are the swamps and floodplains found? They are found in the areas of depression of soil topology. So soil topology means basically topology means surface characteristics of any particular area. Okay. So soil topology means कि वहाँ पे soil का height क्या है या what is the surface like looks like. So if it has depressions, then swamps will be developing. So we have already read about it. There is one more term which is your bog. So it is a wetland that accumulates peat, a deposit of wet plants materials, often mosses, and in the majority of cases, sphagnum moss. So it's a type of moss. So let's just have a look at the images. So this is your pond, swamp, lake, and bog. So what is a bog? It's basically a wetland which accumulates your dead and decaying plant matter and mosses. So it looks like that. So basically the swampy boggy area or bog is a area which accumulates your dead and decaying plant matter and mosses. Importance of freshwater ecosystem. So when we talk about importance, so there is only 1% of total water present on the earth, which supports a population of more than 7 billion human beings. So this is the importance. So like oxygen, अभी कोविड के टाइम पे oxygen is one of the critical parameters. Okay, each and every person who is suffering from this particular disease is either measuring SpO2 or is looking for the sources to get it. Okay, so basically, water, clean air. These are the roots of human or in sustenance of any species on this particular earth. So if we are not able to save this 1% fresh water, then I don't know how things will turn up in the next 50 years. We just have to wait and watch. The next term is eutrophication. So let's just have a look at what eutrophication means. So this is what eutrophication looks like. ठीक है, ये एक particular lake का image है, and this is an image from Dal Lake in Kashmir. So what is eutrophication? Eutrophication means covering up of any water body by algae. And what is the basic consequence of eutrophication is the photosynthesis for the plant is restricted. It takes place only on the surface, and the species that is present on the surface वही एक स्पीशीज है जो सर्वाइव थ्राइव करती है या फिर ग्रो करती है, बाकी जो अंडरलाइंग प्लांट और एनिमल स्पीशीज हैं वो सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाते. सो लेट्स जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यूट्रोफिकेशन इज एंड व्हाट हैपेंस एंड व्हाई. So natural eutrophication, it takes place in several years, whereas cultural eutrophication जो human activities की वजह से दो तरीके से eutrophication होती है. The first one is natural process. ठीक है, over the years, several years में कभी एक लेक में इतना dead and decaying matter develop हो जाता है कि वहाँ का biological oxygen demand जो है बहुत increase हो जाता है. ठीक है, so lake in simple terms becomes dead, or you can say the water in that particular lake is not potable. Whereas cultural eutrophication एक बेसिक एनवायरमेंट पोल्यूशन की प्रॉब्लम है, और यही आज के अभी के करंट एग्जिस्टिंग टाइम में this is one type of eutrophication which is existing everywhere in lakes, whether it's in your Nainital, whether it's in your Dal Lake. And why this happens? This happens because of natural runoff from soil, inorganic fertilizers, erosion, animal waste and sediments entering into water body, discharge of partially untreated sewage into water, domestic and industrial waste. Okay, so basically अगर inorganic fertilizers ये as a pollutant अगर water body में add होते हैं या फिर untreated sewage water में add होगा, so what is happening? The biological oxygen demand of that particular lake is increasing. ठीक है, अभी हम previous slides में biological oxygen demand के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. जब भी किसी वाटर बॉडी की बायोलॉजिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड बढ़ेगी, दैट मीन्स कि वहाँ पे जो इकोलॉजिकल बैलेंस है वो डिस्टर्ब है. जो पॉल्यूटेंट्स हैं, इनऑर्गेनिक फर्टिलाइजर्स हैं, वो नंबर में ज़्यादा है इन कंपैरिजन टू योर प्रोड्यूसर्स और अदर कंज्यूमर्स. तो वन सच एग्जांपल इज योर यूट्रोफिकेशन, जहाँ पे कि लेक्स के ऊपर इस टाइप की एक टिपिकल algal species डिपॉजिट हो जाती है, which restricts flow of sunlight into the depths of your water, and it disturbs the plant and animal life in water as seen in the image. तो pollutants बढ़ेंगे and it will disturb the ecological balance. Next ecosystem is your marine ecosystem. So where is it seen? It's seen in your oceans or seas. Okay, so basically अगर सारे ecosystems में से देखा जाए तो marine ecosystem is the one which is largest in the number. Okay, because 70% of the planet is covered with water or oceans, so marine ecosystem is one of the biggest ecosystem, having a very diverse number of species into it. So these are the seagulls, starfish, jellyfish, and other animals are there. So basically marine ecosystem is the one which is the largest. So I'll give you the example of species of plants and animals. You can put up in the example, but this is all about your marine ecosystem. So this is a rocky shore, which is, and you can see that there is a starfish. So shores are also of two types. Okay, so there is a sandy beach, which you must have heard, and then there is a rocky shore. So different types of areas, in, specifically in our country, exhibit different type of shores. So for Goa, etc., you can see that they have sandy beaches. The next slide is mangroves. So mangroves example, where are the mangroves found? Mangroves are found in your Sundarban areas in West Bengal. So what is the importance? The ecological importance is erosion control, protection from damage, indicator of climate change, water quality management. Economical uses are fishing, shrimp and crab industries, charcoal production, timber production. Whereas social uses are ecotourism, food, local employment. So you can add up or any of the examples to illustrate the use of mangroves. So I have added a table here. So mangroves is one of the examples for marine ecosystem, and it has these particular benefits. And in India, it's found in your Sundarbans is one of the examples for mangroves. So you can add any of the list, any of the uses for mangroves in your answers. If you have any doubts, then you can come back to me in your lecture time. The next ecosystem is your desert ecosystem. So deserts क्या होते हैं? Deserts are the areas which have got very high temperature or very low temperature, but primarily they receive less than 10 inches of rainfall. This is the basic difference, the basic foundation of any desert. Why any area has got desert-like properties? It's because it receives rainfall less than 10 inches per year. So when you get rainfall less than 10 inches per year, then the plant species and the animal species change accordingly. There is a difference between the species of a grassland and a desert or a forest. So why is it so? It's because the rainfall is reduced. Now the deserts are of two types. ऐसा नहीं है कि deserts जो होते हैं वो सिर्फ hot deserts ही होते हैं. No, there are cold deserts also. So desert in simple term doesn't mean that it has to be an area which is dry and arid and has high temperature. It is the area which receives less than 10 inches of rainfall and can be cold or hot. So what is the basic characteristic of plants when we talk about plants? डेजर्ट में उगने वाले प्लांट्स जो हैं उनकी एक बेसिक प्रॉपर्टी होती है और वो है वाटर स्टोरेज. ठीक है. सो सच प्लांट्स आर कॉल्ड योर succulents. A plant which has got the property of water storage is called a succulent. We go to that part. So one of the examples of desert plant is your cactus. Another such example and a very common one is aloe vera. So what is a succulent? So succulent is a plant which has got the property of water storage or water preservation in its tissues. And secondly, in order to preserve any evaporation of water, its leaves are covered by waxy coatings. Okay, so let's just go to that area. So there is one desert in every continent except Europe and Antarctica. So deserts में जो sand आती है वो basically कहाँ से आती है? It's the rock which weathers or erodes with water and wind over time. उसके बाद वो sand dunes के form में you can see. So these sand dunes that you see are basically received, or the origin of these sand dunes is your rocks which have weathered or eroded over a period of time. So this is how the sand is received here in a desert. So there you can see two images. First is your Sahara Desert and the second one is your cold desert. So when we talk about Sahara Desert, we can see that it's a hot desert and the temperature is generally above 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, but when we talk about cold desert, in winters, the cold desert has got hot summers. Okay, but cold desert की particular property और वो ये कि उनकी जो winters है, in winters the temperature reaches up to minus 40 degrees Celsius. So cold desert doesn't mean that it will always be cold. No, it will have hot summers, but during winters the temperature will get reduced to minus 40 degrees Celsius. And the example of such desert is your Gobi Desert. Where is it found? It's found in Central Asia. So Gobi Desert is found in Central Asia, whereas Sahara we know it's found in your Africa continent. So the examples for hot desert is your Sahara Desert, Thar Desert. When we talk about cold desert, Gobi Desert is one of the examples. It sees a temperature drop of minus 40 degrees Celsius during winters. India में there are two cold deserts, or you can witness two cold deserts and a hot desert, which is your Rajasthan area, Thar area, and cold deserts में you have Ladakh and Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh. So ये cold deserts हैं जहाँ पे कि during winters temperature reaches up to minus 40 degrees Celsius. So that is why they are called as cold deserts. But the basic common thing between the hot and the cold desert is that they have rainfall less than 10 inches per year. Okay. So like I told you, plants may you find shrubs and cactus. One such example, succulents. Okay, I was talking about succulents. So succulents are the plants which have got the property to store water in their tissues and have waxy coating in their leaves to prevent water from evaporation. The type of animals that are found are your reptiles and lizards in a desert area. Camels are the most common animal for transport. We all know this. So let's just go to a grassland ecosystem. So grassland ecosystem is largely like a forest ecosystem, except that no tall trees are found in this particular ecosystem. If okay, so I was talking about your grassland ecosystem. So when we talk about grassland ecosystem, तो जो grassland ecosystem होता है वो होता फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम की तरह ही है, बट उसमें बेसिक डिफरेंस ये है कि फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम में यू फाइंड टॉल ट्रीज और फॉरेस्ट कैनोपी. ठीक है, ट्रॉपिकल टेम्परेट सब में टॉल ट्रीज आर गिवन एज एन एग्जांपल. But in a grassland ecosystem, there are different types of grasses present which dominate that particular ecosystem. ठीक है, so a grassland ecosystem occupies 25% of the total area throughout the world. Okay, so after marine, this is one of the ecosystem which occupies 25% of the land area. So abiotic components में we have temperature, rainfall, humidity, etc. But biotic components में we have different types of grasses. और grassland ecosystems कहाँ पे मिलते हैं? These are the prairies in USA, pampas in Argentina, alpine meadows of Himalayas, Bunny grassland reserve in Gujarat. So let's just have a look at the grasses found in a grassland ecosystem. ये दोनों ही टाइप की ग्रासेस हमने कॉमनली अपने पार्क्स में या फिर किसी वाटर बेड में देखी है. So this is Bricaria species, which is also commonly called as brown top millet, and the other one that you commonly see on in any grassland or you commonly observe is your Cynodon species, also called as a scotch grass. ठीक है. So ये दो examples हैं जो कि species आपके grassland ecosystem में मिलते हैं. You can add more into it, but these are the two species. Whereas when we talk about animals, तो animals herbivores and carnivores दोनों ही होते हैं आपके ग्रासलैंड इकोसिस्टम में. लाइक herbivores में कैट, रैट, काउ, रैबिट एक्सेट्रा जो ग्रास पे सर्वाइव करने वाले आपके एनिमल स्पीशीज हैं. कार्निवोर्स में we have all the carnivores you can think of. Okay. So let's just have a look at the images for grassland ecosystem. So this is the image for prairies in your USA, whereas जो commonly screen wallpaper की तरह we see an example. This is the alpine meadows in Himalayas. Okay, we have seen this photograph a lot, but we do not know its name. So these are the alpine meadows in Himalayas, and they are the example of grasslands in India. ठीक है. सो इंडिया में दो ग्रासलैंड्स हैं, बनी ग्रासलैंड रिजर्व इन गुजरात एंड एल्पाइन मेडोज ऑफ हिमालयास. ठीक है. सो ये दिस वाज ऑल अबाउट योर इकोसिस्टम्स, डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ इकोसिस्टम्स and animal species present. You can elaborate more or less into it in your own words, but this is all about your types of ecosystems. ठीक है. कल की क्लास में we'll take up the different type of biochemical cycles which rule your ecosystem, like your phosphorus cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, etc. So we'll talk about them. But if you have any doubts regarding this particular slide or this particular presentation, then you can come back to me. Otherwise, I'll share it with you. Okay. So for today, we'll end the class. If you have any doubts, तो बता सकते हो आप लोग. अच्छा, वो जल शक्ति अभियान के लिए आई टॉक टू टीना मैम, सो उसकी रिवाइज डेट्स आप लोगों के को मिल जाएंगी. सो पार्टिसिपेट इनटू इट एंड यू विल गेट अ सर्टिफिकेट. आई नो दिस फॉर श्योर, क्योंकि ये केमिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट का ही एक ईवीएस का ही एक एक्टिविटी है. सो इफ द रिवाइज डेट्स का डू पार्टिसिपेट इनटू देम. अगर किसी को डाउट है तो पूछो, अदरवाइज विल स्टार्ट द न्यू टॉपिक टुमारो. This particular presentation will let me tell you there are 2-3 important things. First is your pyramids. Okay. Second is your ecological succession. जिसपे की major questions आते हैं या फिर अच्छे questions बन सकते हैं. ठीक है. Third one is your types of fresh water or your marine ecosystem, but it's largely your freshwater ecosystem, and your eutrophication, stratification, what is the use of mangroves. इस टाइप के मेजर क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. स्पीशीज के एग्जांपल्स एक दो याद कर सकते हो, बहुत ज़्यादा के लिए इफ यू हैव you know it's up to you, but I'll give you a few examples for every ecosystem. You can learn those. So I'll end the class today here, and tomorrow we'll take up with all the biochemical cycles related to your ecosystem. Okay. किसी को डाउट है तो बताओ, अदरवाइज आई शुड एंड द क्लास.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, tomorrow we'll take up the biochemical cycles. Otherwise, if there is a doubt, I'll share the slide. Just let me know. Okay, good day.